Hey TVC Kids, it is a new week and we are starting a new book. This is The Squire and the Scroll, one of my favorites, so I'm so excited to share it with you. And actually, I'm going to share it with you all week long. So set your calendars to check this Instagram or Facebook every single day this week, and we're going to read a little bit, we're going to talk a lot a bit, and we are going to do some craft projects along the way too. Are you ready? All right, get set, here we go. The Squire and the Scroll. In the days when men of valor still guarded kings, a peaceful kingdom lay silent and dark beneath the stars. The ruler of that kingdom was kind and strong of heart. It was this good man's charge to guard the lantern of purest light, the lamp that brought peace and joy to his kingdom. Wow, this is a beautiful kingdom. Can you see it? But on this sad and terrible night, an enemy of all truth and beauty swept over the castle on leathery wings, and with dreadful magic stole away the lantern that gave freedom to all the kingdom. The king, the queen, and the princess mourned the loss of the precious lamp, and so did the humble citizens of the peaceful kingdom. So treasured by the kingdom was this lantern, and so beloved was the king, that many young men sought bravely to retrieve the purest light. None of them returned. As one by one the sons of the kingdom disappeared, the people began to despair. So all the brave men had gone out to try to find the lantern, and none of them returned. At last, the king was left with only his most trusted knight to be sent on the quest for the lantern. "You must journey to the Red Mountains, where our enemies are known to encamp," said the king. "I fear traps have been set for you along the way, as we've already lost so many young men. If you accomplish this task, you will return to great honor and reward. But if you do not, our good people will surely perish." The knight was fearless and did not complain about the quest which upon he was given, and the king was sending him on. He took with him his faithful squire. So here's the king, and the knight bent down there, and look who's next to him in the green. That's the squire. That's kind of like the king's, the knight's assistant. So he's going with him. Let's see how the squire fits in this story. The squire was a poor boy who had journeyed far to serve the good king, to become a knight one day, and to serve the lantern. He was honest, a man of his word, and did all that his master asked him to do. His kind parents were not people of great position, but they had clean hearts and honored the lantern of purest light as the people of the kingdom did. They taught their son how to guard his pure heart by the words from a simple scroll. When the time came for him to leave the village, the boy's mother and father presented him with a gift. It was the scroll from which he had been taught. As the boy promised to honor his parents and the lantern by living his life by the 5 truths in the scroll. Thus, he received a blessing from his mother and father and a promise of reward from God in return for faithfully guarding his heart. All right, this is pretty cool. So here's the father and the mother and the squire, and he's been taught his whole life how to live by this scroll, how to obey God and live a pure life by listening to the rules of this scroll. Does that remind you of anything? As the knight and the squire started off on their journey, they spoke of their families. The knight had little remembrance of his parents, but he vaguely recalled that they too had taught him from the scroll. "As did mine," said the boy, pulling the parchment from his belt. and it has always strengthened me and kept my heart pure. Indeed it had, for the boy knew the words of the scroll so well that he often dreamt of them, and he honored the lantern by obedience to the scroll in all that he did. The words of the scroll had seen him through many temptations, but the knight, he did not remember the words on the scroll. The knight and the squire soon came upon the wood through which they passed on their way to the Red Mountains. Where that path left the meadow and the split of the underbrush, they found a bag of wool. "Fallen from a traveler's wagon, no doubt," said the knight, passing it to the squire. "Keep it in case we have need." So here they are. They're traveling, and they just come upon a bag of wool right in the middle of nothing else. I wonder who left that. As the two traveled through the shadowy wood, they began to hear sounds, like a rushing brook or wind in the trees. Deeper into the forest, the sounds became more like whispers. They seemed to come from the plants and the trees and the ground. Listening intently, the knight and the boy heard evil chants, warning them to turn back, whispers that made their hearts faint. But the boy knew how to guard his ears, for he knew the first command of the scroll. Listen only to words that are pure. "The wool!" the lad shouted, and he quickly pulled off some tufts from the knight. And he gave them to the knight, and they put them in their ears. Now courage could not be stolen from the knight or the boy, and they passed through the woods safely. And that's all we're going to do today. But I want to tell you what you're going to receive by email, and you could also just email me and I'll help you get it. But I want you guys to start a scroll just like the boy, the squire, right? So his scroll had 5 rules to it, right? And he learned everything from his mom and dad. What's the scroll kind of like to you? What do we have as Christians? What do we have that we learn how to live? We learn how to keep our hearts pure. We learn how to listen, and we learn how to see things in a way that God wants us to see them. What's that book called? Yep, you got it. It's the Bible. But here's what I'm going to send to you. And mine's on orange, but it could be on any page. Actually, I'm going to challenge you guys in the next week to print this out and then start decorating it. And let's see who can make the most beautiful scroll. So I've got 2 verses on here. One is Joshua 1:9, which I bet you guys all know. It's "Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And then there's Proverbs 4:23. "Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life." Do you think the squire is guarding his heart? Do you think what he learned on that scroll is going to help him through this journey? I think it will. But here's the first one. It says, "Listen only to words that are pure." That means listen only to words that help you build your faith and help you honor God. So when you print this out, it says, list words you can listen to that lift up the Lord. So what would that be? When you're listening to people talk, are you going to listen to gossip? Is that going to lift up your heart? Is that going to lift up the Lord? No. Are you going to listen to things that people tell you about God? Are you going to listen to things that are encouraging? What about if people are using the fruit of the Spirit and they're being kind to you? Are those good words to listen to? Yes. Those are the kind of words that are going to get you through. But if you're listening to things that are scary, or if you're listening to things that are like bullies are saying things, or things that tear you down, is that what God wants you to listen to? No. And that's exactly the same thing with the squire. So the first rule on the squire scroll is to listen to only things that are pure. And I hope you guys will practice doing that today. So tomorrow, I'm going to read the second part of the book. We're going to learn another one of the scroll's laws. And then we're going to talk more and more about how this book is a lot like